Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation on political rhetoric. My name is Elizabeth Hughes-Hageman. This is for communicating ethics at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. So the question that we're trying to answer here is whether or not President Trump's communication is ethical, and whether or not President Trump and his administration's communication practices are considered ethical or unethical. So to decide this, we're first going to decide what ethical communication in politics is, which is different from regular ethical communication. The National Communication Association Credo for Ethical Communication has established the following guidelines for what ethical communication is. First, truthfulness, accuracy, honesty, and reason are listed as essential to the integrity of communication. That endorsing freedom of expression, diversity of perspective, and tolerance of dissent to achieve the informed and responsible decision-making fundamental to civil society. We should strive to understand and respect other communicators before evaluating and responding to their messages. We should promote access to communication resources and opportunities as necessary to fulfill human potential and contribute to the well-being of families, communities, and society. We should promote communication climates of caring and mutual understanding that respect the unique needs and characteristics of individual communicators. We should condemn the communication that degrades individuals and humanity through distortion, intimidation, coercion, and violence, and through the expression of intolerance and hatred. We should be committed to the courageous expression of personal convictions in pursuit of fairness and justice. We should advocate for sharing information, opinions, and feelings when facing significant choices while also respecting privacy and confidentiality, and we should accept responsibility for the short and long-term consequences of our own communication and expect the same from others. And this again comes from the National Communication Association Credo for Ethical Communication, which was approved by the National Communication Association Legislative Council in 1999. Some other ideas pertaining to ethical communication in politics are presented by Birch and Allen in their study, where they're quoted as saying, "Maintaining the trust of citizenry is crucial for politicians if they are to retain legitimacy. Also, people are critical of politicians, but they're not blindly critical. And also that statutory regulation is more likely to keep politicians in ethical check than non-binding codes of conduct or general principles of appropriate behavior." Oppositely, Machiavelli, in the School of Life video that was presented in our coursework, is of the idea that lying does not make a politician inherently bad at being a politician. Rulers should be effective, even if this makes them immoral. It is almost impossible to be a good politician and a good person, and that good leaders defend the state from external and internal threats to stable governance. The Trump administration has both leaned themselves toward and against both sets of ideas presented here, and I'll come back to that in a moment. As far as considering the Trump administration's conduct under the lens of the ethical credo, I've done a little bit of grading myself here. So under the lens of truthfulness, many of Trump's published tweets have been defeated by fact-checkers. Most recently, his State of the Union address was proven to have many dishonest and factually incorrect statements within it. And that was according to the National Public Radio's live fact-checking of the State of the Union address. As far as respecting other communicators, going back to the 2016 election and beyond, there have been dozens of times when President Trump himself has been directly disrespectful of others, both within his party and across the aisle. And this is including his former aides and other staff of his. So I'm going to give him a fail on that one as well. Condemnation of degrading communications. Trump has referred to individuals and organizations as mental basket cases, dopey, losers, that dog, phony and non-existent, and many more insulting terms. So being as that this is outright degrading communication, I cannot give him a pass for condemning degrading communication. Expressions of personal convictions in pursuit of fairness and justice. Although I don't share many, or really any, of the Trump administration's personal convictions, it's clear from their actions, like the 35-day government shutdown, that he and his administration very much do. So I will give him that. He believes in something so much to where he's willing to shut down the government for 35 days. Okay, you get a thumbs up for that one. Accepting consequences for their own communication. The Trump administration has gone back and denied things that they have said publicly which didn't bode well for them or their base. So rather than facing the music on these issues, they've been known to misdirect or outright deny these things. So in this respect, he gets a fail. Now back to our other lens. The ideas presented by Birch Allen and Machiavelli. I think that the Trump administration, as far as the idea that good leaders defend the state from external and internal threats to stable governance, I think that the Trump administration leans itself away from this idea because of the fact that there has been so much misdirection and division between parties here in the current political climate that lend itself rather directly to the divisiveness of the political climate. So rather than submitting ideas which bring both parties together in a non-biased way, he's lending his voice to the idea that we are split as a nation, which doesn't lend itself to this idea at all. I will, however, say that Machiavelli's idea that lying doesn't make a politician inherently bad would suit the Trump administration, so he does fit in that way. As far as Birch and Allen's idea that maintaining the trust of citizenry is crucial for politicians if they're to retain legitimacy, in my opinion, the Trump administration is essentially a laughingstock around the world. And so because of the fact that the American people are losing trust in him and his administration, they are losing their legitimacy as an administration, which is evidenced by all of the people volunteering to run for president in 2020 already. So, with that, here are my references. I would like to direct your attention especially to this article here by Leon Quilly, which is a list of personal insults against 551 people offered both in chronological and alphabetical order. Should you have any question about whether or not the Trump administration has been degrading. Back to our original question again, I'm going to say definitively that President Trump and his administration's communication practices are unethical. Thank you.